Hello, ladies and gentlemen, this is Spider, and welcome back to another review. And last week we took a look at a hero from the Hero Factory series, so this time I thought we'd take a look at a villain with the Lego Hero Factory Corroder. Just set number 7156. And this set released back in 2010, and it's based on their appearance from the Hero Factory animated series. So, to get things started, we'll take a look at the packaging. So let's get to it. Alrighty, here we have the box. You got the Lego Hero Factory at the top. You got a nice image of Corroder on the front with him shooting what looks like lightning. Just kind of odd because in the show he shoots corrosive acid, hence the name Corroder. Also, it comes out of the little green bits, not the metal. Yeah, whatever. You got a little from the makers of Bionicle over there. You got some stuff about the set on the side. You got the back of the box with him fighting Surge. You get some stats about the character. That's kind of cool. Remember when the boxes used to do that and give you stats about the character? That was neat. You got the side of the box with some like blueprint kind of image of Corroder. Yeah, corrosive Corroder. On the other side of the box, you got a bunch of things. On the top of the box, you got the actual size of the mask or helmet, whatever you want to call it. And then you got the bottom of the box, which something I find strange is that it actually tells you to open it from the bottom. Like, there's the thing where it tells you to pull in, pull out, and open it, but it's at the bottom. I don't know why it tells you to open it from the bottom, because if you try and store the figure back in here, it'll just come spilling out, because it's open from the bottom. That seems a very strange choice to do. I don't know why they didn't tell you to open it from the top. I was kind of wish the little kid me was smart enough to figure that out. But, anyways, that's it for the box. On to the instructions. So you got that same cool image of Corroder. You open it up. You got Preston Stormer and the image of the Hero Factory City. Tells you how to build things and whatnot, and doodads and whatnot. You got all the pieces from the set. Some images of other characters you can get. Hero Factory things, and on the back, as always, win! Alright. Now on to the figure. So here we have Corroder. Now in the actual show, he's usually on all fours, but I don't feel like posing him like that for the whole review, so we're just going to have him standing up for now. So, first things first, we'll take a look at his articulation. He's got a ball joint at the head. This allows him to look that far up and good bit down. You can look all the way around if you so wish. You can get some side to side and pretty much can look all the way around. The shoulder is on a ball joint, and get used to that because pretty much every joint in this guy is a ball joint. So that allows his arm to move all the way around, can go that far out, and you can get a little bit of bicep rotation out of it. Hand is also on a ball joint, so it's relatively unlimited. Leg is also on a ball joint, and it's kind of squeaky. You can get a very high kick. Oops, it popped off. Hang on. Yeah. Get back. Hey! Stay on. You can't kick too far back because this back bit gets in the way, unfortunately. Got a pretty dang good knee on him. Dang it. Leg popped off again. You can get some thigh rotation out of it because it's a ball joint. Foot, also a ball joint, so pretty much unlimited. You can do whatever you need to do with it. So that's pretty much it for articulation. Overall, it's pretty good. The only thing I could really say is that he's kind of missing some elbows, but other than that, he's got some good posability out of him. So with that done, we should move on to the details. We'll move the arms out of the way so you can actually look at this beastly face that he's got here. Raise up the camera just a little bit, and then focus in on that beastly face. Look at that beastly face. He's got a very prominent underbite. You got some teeth there, and you got a rhinoceros horn, which is pretty cool. You got the eye there, and because the head is translucent, you can get a light here, shine it through, and make it look like his eyes are glowing. Ain't that cool? Always appreciate a good light piping effect on this channel. mask is bumping the camera. The mask looks pretty cool. It's nice and fierce. And for the head, it's got the same thing as Stringer's. It's got the Bionicle Victorian head. Just pop the mask back on. So yeah, I like the face. The arms are also the Glatorian arms. Got the traditional Bionicle hand. And you got this big old claw here. You got some little stickers on here. You got a little skull and crossbones on there, which I wonder if this skull is based on any actual mask. Can't think of any off the top of my head, but it might be. You got these little green vats of goo here on the front, which I assume contains the acid that he squirts out of these big old green bits. And speaking of these green bits, look at those big old green claw thingies. You do got some like nicks and cuts on the front of them there. That's a cool little piece of molding. Kind of make them look like they're worn and torn. The other arm is exactly the same, except this one has a Zamosphere launcher on it. Now I'm sure this is called something different in Hero Factory, but to me, it's always going to be the Zamosphere launcher. So yeah, get that nice simple build. For the torso, uses the same piece as Stringer did, and I think that's kind of the only new bit, well, except for the mask and the green parts. You got the thighs, which I'm pretty sure is not a new piece, and then you have this bit, which is the Toametru Shin, which is not new, but I don't think it was ever in this color before, so that's new. And then you got these feet, which were used in plenty of previous sets. And then you got the back, which uses the exact same build as the big old claw hands. So, yeah, he has got a nice look to him. He looks appropriately fierce and beastly, which he is, so that works out. Yeah, pretty cool. And pretty close to how he looks in the show as well. The only real difference is that in the show, his chest is built a bit differently. It's a bit bulkier in there. But whatever. Overall, the figure is pretty cool. Yeah, the only real issue I'd have with him is that this assembly here that attaches the back armor is not the sturdiest. Because when you pick up the figure, you're going to want to pick him up like here, right? But if you squeeze too tightly, this whole thing can pop off. And as a kid, when playing with this thing, that was really, really annoying. However, I do actually know of a way to fix it. I found an alternate build online that makes the back a bit sturdier. I'll show that off towards the end of the review. But for now, like I mentioned earlier, he's got a Zamosphere launcher, which obviously comes with a sphere to launch. We'll focus in on said sphere. There. Now, the kind of confusing thing about Corroder here is that the sphere doesn't stay consistent in color. Sometimes you get ones like a darker green, sometimes you get one that's more of a lime green. I don't know why. It's a odd thing, but for some reason they couldn't keep the color consistent, so depending on whatever figure you got, you'd get one that's a darker green or a lighter green. But I got one that was a darker green, so we're going to be using that one. So yeah, you just plug it in there, and if you don't know how this works, basically it's just friction. You squeeze these two bits together, and it'll launch the sphere. And because he's got a projectile attack, it means it's time to take him to the firing range. Let's get to that. Alright, and here we got the firing range set up. Now, if you're new to this channel and don't know what this is, basically whenever a figure I have has a projectile attack, I test how strong it is by setting up a bunch of targets and shooting at them, see if we can knock them down. So, first things first, we'll shoot it at the Lego minifigure, see if we can knock that over. And hopefully I don't miss like 5 times. Knock that one over pretty easily. Now we'll see if we can knock over an empty Altoids can. I missed. Well, I hit it, but didn't get a very good shot on it. Alright, let's try one last time, see if I can knock it over. There we go. And finally, let's shoot at something you might actually shoot it at. Like a hero from the Hero Factory series. So let's see if we can knock him over. And not miss. Went right between the legs. Alright, that didn't work. No. Doesn't seem to be strong enough to knock him over. But it can get him to wiggle a little bit. So that's pretty much it for that. And that concludes today's segment of the firing range. So overall, projectile is decent. Not super strong, but not super weak. And I don't really have much more to say about the figure, so let's move on to the size comparisons. To start things off, as always, we have it with a Lego minifigure. With the Packet Destruction minifigure Mothra. With the Packet Destruction minifigure Godzilla. On some more relevant size comparisons, here it is with the Lego Bionicle Tahumata. Here it is with the Lego Bionicle Onua Mata. Whoops, bumped the camera. And finally, here he is with the previous review, Lego Hero Factory Stringer. You can see he is a good bit bigger than the hero, which is appropriate because the villains did quite tower over the heroes in the show. So that works. Those are kind of convenient that out of all of the figures from Wave 1, I happened to get these two because they actually have a pretty big battle in the second episode. I didn't know that when I got them. In fact, I didn't even know there was a show until years later. So, that's a happy little coincidence. Now that that's over, measuring time! So get him here, and kind of do have him in a little crouched position, so let's straighten his legs and get him standing properly upright, so you can get a good idea how tall he is. So, yeah, he's basically 8 inches tall, so pretty decently sized. Pretty decent. So that's pretty much it for measuring. And I'll get him into a cool pose and we shall conclude with the final thoughts. Actually, hold on. Before we do that, I forgot. There is a little alternate build to make his back sturdier. I almost forgot about that. So, yeah, basically the way to make that work is you take this bit, you flip it around like that, and then you take a piece like this, there's a little hole there, plug it through, and it'll go into that. I realize it's not clear. There you go. And you'll just plug it in like that, so it keeps that secure and you don't have to worry about it coming out anymore. So now he's all nice and sturdy. So yeah, I found that on the interwebs to make the back sturdier. That's cool. Makes the figure just a little bit better. Fixes really the only real issue I had with him. Alrighty, now on to the final thoughts. Alrighty, so overall the figure is pretty cool. I do like him. I had quite a bit of fun with him as a kid. Honestly, the only real issue was just the way the back was assembled, but I could ignore it. Yeah, it is pretty fun, and it's just a cool, menacing looking bad guy character, so yeah, I mean, it's just supposed to be another villain, and he looks like a villain, so mission accomplished. And he's just fun. Yeah, there's nothing too crazy going on with him. He's just fun. And really, that's all a toy needs to be for me, anyways. So yeah, I do like him. And if you wanted one of these for yourself, on eBay, they're going for around $20 to $30 out of the box, which isn't too bad, you know, especially with how crazy some of the prices for these old buildable figures can get. 20 to 30 ain't too bad. However, if you wanted one brand new in the box, that's going to be like $60 at the cheapest, which, yeah, no, that's way too much. I do not recommend paying $60 for this guy. I mean, I understand wanting to get one brand new because you don't have to worry about pieces cracking and breaking as much. Which, even though I did play with this guy rather thoroughly, he's not too cracked. And even the joints that are, they're still kind of tight, so it's not a super big issue. But, yeah, so if you can just find one in, like, semi-goodish condition, pre-owned, I recommend doing that than getting one brand new. But hey, it's your money, spend it however you wish. Yeah. Also, fun fact that I learned about this guy recently is that he's voiced by Charlie Adler, I think that's how you say that name, who voiced Starscream in live-action Transformer movies. So that's kind of cool. It's another reason this guy's kind of neat. But anyways, that's pretty much it for the review. Hope you all enjoyed. See you later. Sayonara. Bye.